The economy in crisis mode and deaths continuing to soar. Obviously, this is all bad for President Trump's re-election hopes. And today, Trump came up with a brilliant new strategy for the election. Just don't have one.
Facing a surging pandemic and struggling in the polls, President Trump today for the first time is suggesting the November election, just 96 days away, be postponed. Tweeting, with universal mail-in voting, 2020 will be the most inaccurate and fraudulent election in history. Warning it will be a great embarrassment to the USA. Delay the election until people can properly, securely, and safely vote?
I don't want to delay. I want to have the election. I want to have the result of the election. I don't want to see that take place in a week after November 3rd or a month or, frankly, with litigation and everything else that can happen, years, or you never even know who won the election. I don't want to be waiting around for weeks and months and literally, potentially, if you really did it right, years, because you'll never know. Now, voter fraud all over the ballots. So, no, I want to be standing, hopefully, hand held high, big victory, because we're doing things with our country that I think nobody else could have done. But I also don't want to have to wait for 3 months and then find out that the ballots are all missing and the election doesn't mean anything.
But the president has no power to delay a general election. The Constitution says it's up to Congress to set the date. And with Democrats controlling the House, that will not happen. There's also no evidence of widespread voter fraud due to mail-in balloting. President Trump's suggestion immediately dismissed even by top Republicans.
We'll cope with whatever the situation is and have the election on November 3rd as already scheduled.
No presidential election's ever been delayed, even for the Civil War or World War II.
This is basically the move of a dictator. But Trump is just casually throwing it out there in a tweet with a bunch of question marks, like he's on a group text trying to bail on happy hour. This is how it starts. First, they just suggest that maybe you postpone the election. Then they suggest that some of the votes are not valid. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you remember, but 3 months ago, Joe Biden predicted that Trump would try to delay the election. And this is how Trump reacted back then.
I never even thought of changing the date of the election. Why would I do that? November 3rd. It's a good number. No, I look forward to that election, and that was just made-up propaganda.
But look, regardless of his insane tweets, the chances are that Trump will not be able to move the election.
Democrats are accusing President Trump of trying to distract from the U.S. economy, just posting its worst drop on record, worried he's laying the groundwork not to accept the election's results.
Are you suggesting that you might not accept the results of the election?
I have to say, look, Hillary Clinton asked me the same thing.
No, I asked you the same thing in the debate.
There is a tradition in this country, in fact, one of the prides of this country is the peaceful transition of power, and that no matter how hard fought a campaign is, that at the end of the campaign, that the loser concedes to the winner, not saying that you're necessarily going to be the loser or the winner, but that the loser concedes to the winner and that the country comes together in part for the good of the country. Are you saying you're not prepared now to commit to that principle?
What I'm saying is that I will tell you at the time. I'll keep you in suspense.
But
she looks like
can
a
you
fool.
can you give a direct answer? You will accept the election?
I have to see. Look, I have to see. No, I'm not going to just say yes. I'm not going to say no. No, until you see. It depends. I think mail-in voting is going to rig the election. I really do.
Down from his feud with the United States Postal Service, he's now installing a well-known loyalist to enact his vision. Louis DeJoy will take over the agency in mid-June. DeJoy is a fundraiser for the Republican National Convention. He'll take over at a time when the Postal Service is negotiating with the Treasury Department for $10 billion in coronavirus-related aid. What changes does the president want to make in the post office, and why is DeJoy his pick to act out this plan?
Hi, Rena. Well, the Postal Service said that the Board of Governors did an extensive search to replace the outgoing Postmaster General, Megan Brennan, who had come up through the ranks. And Mr. DeJoy would be the first Postmaster General in 20 years to be an outsider. And he's a former businessman who owned a logistics supply company, and his company was actually a client of the Postal Service way back when. As you said, he's a big fundraiser. He's given more than $2 million since 2016 to Trump, to President Trump and to Republican candidates. So the Treasury Secretary acting on the president's behalf had a big hand in this appointment. What Trump really wants a structural change to the Postal Service.
And you know what? If Biden got in, the whole country would go to hell. And we're not going to let it go to hell.